Test. Good afternoon and welcome to the judges, teachers, guests, and participants of 13 FRSIS 2025. Now, I'd like to introduce our judges today. The Chief Judge is Dr. Nur Adillah Madzai, Senior Lecturer, Faculty of Hotel and Tourism Management, University Technology Mara, Selangor, Malaysia. The second judge is Ms. Shafika Amira binti Saleh from SMS Pasir Putih. The third judge is Ms. Fakrani binti A. Rahman from Smart Labu. And I, Alia Patricia binti Muhammad Ashri from Sekolah Menengah Sains Tuanku Said Putra, while the timekeepers, Muhammad Afiq Rahim bin Muhammad Nur and Muhammad Alif Irfan bin Nasrul Fawad are from Sekolah Menengah Sains Kuala Selangor. Now, allow me to read the rules. Each team should consist of presenters and a technical assistant. The presentation must focus on the sub-theme assigned to the team. The duration of the presentation should not be more than 10 minutes. The bell will be rung once at the 9th minute and twice at the 10th minute. A questions and answer session will be conducted after each presentation. Now, I would like to invite 15 Temmuz Şehitleri Anadolu Lisesi TURKIYE to present. Please welcome.
Hello, we are students of 15 Temmuz Anatolian High School. I want to talk a little about our school. In our school, a lot of activity organized, like Erasmus and like this organized. Our subject is zero hunger. I hope you like our presentation. Okay, what's zero hunger? Zero hunger is one of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. This goal aims not only for no one. Okay, I'm sorry for problem. Zero hunger is one of the United Nations 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. This goal aims not only for no one to get hungry, but for everyone to have access to healthy, nutritious, and sustainable food. Hunger is not just a local food. People think hunger is only a local food, but not. It's closely related to unhealthy nutrition, poor living conditions, lack of education, and economic opportunities. Therefore, this goal is also directly linked to ending poverty, strengthening agricultural systems, and protecting natural resources. There is cause of hunger, poverty, natural disasters. Sometimes disasters cause economic losses, and this leads to hunger. economical instability and political instability, diminishing natural resources, food shortages and wastage, and unfortunately people lost, and this causes hunger. And war the cause experienced in wars also causes hunger, and job instability.
Poverty, sometimes we think poverty is just about money. But imagine waking up and knowing where your next meal will come from. Imagine speaking school because you have to work to support your family. Poverty and hunger are like best friends. The worst kinds, one always brings the other along. So when we say zero hunger, we cannot just hand out food. We have to break the poverty cycle too. We are not powerless. Even small can lead to big change. Ending poverty is not easy, but it's possible. And once we do that, zero hunger becomes more than a dream. Symbiotic. You might hear the word symbiotic in this presentation. Let me quickly explain what is mean. So, all follow along easily. Symbiotic means a close relationship between two different living things, where both usually help each other. They work together in a way that benefits them both. For example, bees and flowers have a symbiotic relationships. Bees get nectar from flower spread, pollen, and glow more. So both the bee and flowers win. That is what we call symbiotic. In the fight against hunger, we need symbiotic relationships too, like between small farmers and local markets, or between communicators and governments. If they work together and support each other, both sides grow stronger. And that is how we can move towards zero hunger.
Social benefits. Zero hunger is about, among other things, sharing the available resources we have at our administration in an equitable way. For this, it can decrease the effects of hunger for a short time by implementing practices such as habitual aid parcels and for for low-income families with the help of the state. At the same time, these aids not only lead to zero hunger but also contribute a sense of social solidarity. Food
Okay. In the world, one third of food is waste. While this means that some of the food is twisted away, it causes problems such as some people disbursement, their days hungry and sleeping hungry, and some of them died from food waste. In the developed countries, food waste mostly being the production phase. Food waste is not only a social problem, it's also an economic and environmental problem.
Zero hunger is not just a generator, it is also used without harming nature and sources. Sustainable agriculture practices are also protect water, air, soil, and biodiversity. Sustainable agriculture practices include organic agriculture, cycle agriculture, and agriculture technology. Sustainable agriculture practices are essential because if we support small farmers, production will increase and poverty will decrease. Consumer awareness. Consumer awareness means being informed about the products we buy, where they come from, how they are made, and what impact they have on people and the planet. It is not just about choosing the cheapest option, but about making responsibility choices. A consumer who is aware know whether the products was made ethically, if the workers were treated fairly, and whether the production harms the environment. In today's world, consumer awareness plays a big role in fighting problems like poverty, hunger, and climate change. For example, when we choose to buy from local farmers or fair trade brands, we support better working conditions and reduce food waste. In short, the more we know, the better choices we make. And those choices can help build a more fair, healthy, and sustainable world.
Thanks for listening us, and I'm sorry for the problems.
Thank you for the interesting presentation. Now, I would like to invite participants to ask questions. I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
All right. Hello. Hello. All right. Thank you and congratulations for your presentations. There's something that I would like you to enlighten. Basically, what is your research is all about? I mean, like, what is the focus of the study?
We focused on zero hunger. I think what will we do for the blocked hungry?
No, I mean, what is the issue related to zero hunger that you are focusing on? Is it like some specific destination or issue in Turkey itself that you would like to highlight from here?
Yes, we focus poverty, agriculture practice, and consumer awareness, like this sort politics.
Hi, hello everyone. First of all, thanks for enlightening us about the SDG itself. Okay, so could you please enlighten us about the rate of hunger issues in Turkey and perhaps some ways or some efforts that have been put in action in order to curb the issue of hunger, zero hunger itself? Thank you.
Can you repeat that, please?
Okay, my question is, could you please enlighten us about what is happening in Turkey if you are having food lacking issues and what has been done by the government in order to curb this issue. Okay?
Thank you to all judges. Next, I would like to invite would you like to respond to the judges' questions?
We don't know exactly this topic in Turkey.
Thank you. Thank you to 15 Temmuz, Şehitleri, Anadolu, Lisesi, Türkiye.
Dulu. Nah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Subhanallah, subhanallah. Baik. Ini.
Now, I would like to invite Sekolah Berasrama Penuh Integrasi Sabak Bernam to continue with their presentations. Please welcome.
Good afternoon to all the teachers, judges, and friends. Today, I am Muhammad Irfan Wasim, representing Sabak Bernam Integrated Boarding School. We'll be proud to present our research titled harshening social enterprises in ecotourism to tackle urban hunger and poverty. This research is aligned with the Sustainable Development Goals 2, Zero Hunger. And without further ado, let's begin. First of all, I would like to introduce my teammate. This is Muhammad Adam Akil, the moderator, Nora Adenin, the technical assistant, sitting there, Kalisha, the reporter, and let's not forget our honorable teacher, Miss Chamoy Chin. Next slide, please. Okay, before we go further into the presentation, here are some of the words you guys have to understand in order to increase your understandings about our presentation today. First of all is poverty alleviation. Poverty alleviation is the aims to improve the quality of life for those people currently living in poverty. Second is urban areas. Urban areas is a human settlement with a high population density and an infrastructure of built environment. And lastly is inadequate housing. Inadequate housing is a living condition that do not meet basic standards of decency, safety, or health. Next slide, please. Okay, so the problem statement of our studies is to examine the cases of rising urban food security that is linked to economic hardship and the absence of sustainable support system. The challenge is that while cities grow, the gap between the rich and poor also grows. High living costs, limited job opportunities causes many people to be trapped in poverty. As a result, food insecurity rises since people are unable to afford food. Here are examples of poverty in other countries. For example, United States of America. As we can see here, other than racial inequality, 22% of the urban population is poor. This has shown that even in modern developing countries, they are still struggling with poverty. Next slide, please. Yes.
Other than that, India also uh, India also have experience on this urban poverty in their country. So, what is the causes of the urban poverty in their country? So, the causes of the poverty in their country is basically from the social vulnerability. What is meaning by social vulnerability? Social vulnerability is referred to the someone that has been mistreated by the others other citizen in their urban areas. So therefore the low chances to the mistreated person to get the opportunities and about their work and employment. As we can see at the data, 25% of the urban population is poor because can they can get enough employment and jobs. Next. Next. So this is our research objective. They have three type of objective, that is identify causes of hunger in urban areas, and second one is assess public awareness of government support, and the last one is to explore solution to reduce poverty. Next one, please. So this is our methodology. We use a quantitative method, that is we conduct a survey and send it to the 100 respondent via links. So in the 100 respondent is covered from different different age limit, education level, gender, and employment status. So this method help us to gather the data from the different perspective. Next. So this is about our research from the survey findings. Based on the data, it states that most respondents agreed that low wages is the main factors that people suffering poverty in urban areas. Even if they have job, they still cannot earn enough money, and they still can't afford their basic needs, including their food. Next. In the survey finding about solution, majority respondents suggest to the government introduce government-led job creation to the communities and to the country. They believe if there has no job or stable and well-paying job, the poverty will still continue. Next. Next. Next.
So, in our research, we've stated that social enterprises linked to ecotourism can solve urban poverty. And this is how. Include example at community-run food hubs where local manage food distribution in the shop. Other than that, urban farming linked to eco parks, which provide both foods and jobs. And lastly, green jobs and ecotourism activities. And this is not just about the job. It creates opportunity, builds skills, promotes sustainability, and the most important of all, it's increased the access of affordable food.
So basically, based on the solution that have been given by Ifan Wasim, we found that there have three benefits from the three solution. The first one is the sustainable employment. Like what Ifan Wasim said, the community-run food hub can be the sustainable employment because it will still grow and strong by the time and by the year. Like in our country, Yayasan Food Bank Malaysia represent as the community-run food hub in our country. The second one is to strengthen the food security, which is make it the food is still available and be affordable to the people to buy it. And the last one is to the empower the communities, which is by giving them to control their own income and their own resources based on their own job. Next one.
So, in conclusion, urban poverty and hunger must be taken urgent action. By promoting social enterprises in ecotourism, we can solve this problem. The initiative taken can help grow community, decrease the food insecurity, and strengthen the community. And by supporting our research, we can help us reach the sustainable development goals too, which is zero hunger and reach for a more sustainable future. Thank you. That's all from us. I hope our presentation about how ecotourism can solve hunger and poverty in urban areas will help you. I will now answer any questions from judges and audience.
Sip.
All right, thanks. I think it's really quite unclear here, right? How exactly is the community distributed food truck directly linked to ecotourism? Because tourism, as I understand it, is a recreational activity, but a food truck is a charitable activity where you do it not for a profit. So how exactly are those two elements linked in your case? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Sorry, but we can't answer that question. We still don't have the good answer to answer the question. Sorry.
I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Okay, baik. Hello, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Congratulations to Sekolah Berasrama Penuh Integrasi Sabak Bernam. Okay, I want to know which part of urban place that you are focusing on that actually having this zero hunger issue. You know?
Oh, basically in our research we found out the example of the urban areas that struggling for the poverty is like at USA, Houston, Texas, which is um, there are a lot of people and citizens that uh, in that in that place, but they're still having poverty cases and problem.
In Malaysia, do we have that issue in our urban area?
Yes.
Which part?
So urban poverty can occur even in city. Like we have Indonesia, Jakarta, right? But Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, there are still many people suffering from urban poverty. Because Kuala Lumpur, as you know, is densely populated, right? So all the citizens there does not get all their rights. So some of them are poor and some of them are rich. Hope that's answer your question.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for the questions. Teruskan.
Hello.
Thanks. Berikan. Now, let's hear from the third team, Sekolah Menengah Sains Dungun, to present.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Imagine a world where a simple holiday could help feed a hungry child.
Where your weekend escape could plant the seeds of opportunity for an entire village.
A very good evening I bid to the respected panel of judges, dear fellow teachers, fellow participants, ladies and gentlemen. We are from Sekolah Menengah Sains Dungun, Terengganu. First of all, I'm Afifah Farisa as our team's presenter.
And I am Nelly Patricia as our team's technical assistant. It is our honor to present to you our proposal on how social enterprises in ecotourism can contribute to ending hunger through a sustainable and community-driven approach.
Moving on to our main focus, SDG 2 Zero Hunger. Zero hunger is the second goal of the United Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. It aims to end hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture by the year 2030. But how does this relate to tourism? The answer lies in the concept of social enterprises in ecotourism, where businesses don't just seek profit, but also give back to the local communities they operate in.
Tourism, especially when done sustainably, can help end hunger in multiple ways. First, it encourages local food systems. Second, it creates jobs and steady income. Third, it funds community projects. And last but not least, it encourages sustainable farming.
Now, let us introduce our proposal, eco-friendly accommodation and ecotourism activities as a creative way to tackle rural hunger and poverty.
Eco-friendly accommodation refers to lodgings that are designed to minimize their environmental impact. These places use sustainable practices like renewable energy, waste reduction, and water conservation. Their goal is not only to protect nature, but also to support local communities and reduce carbon emissions.
But ecotourism doesn't stop at where you sleep. It's also about what you do.
But here are some examples of ecotourism activities that promote both conservation and community development. First, nature walks and ecotours, and also water sports with a conservation focus.
Before we dive into our proposal, it is very important to understand the key challenges faced by rural communities in our country, in our state, Terengganu. Firstly, we face persistent rural hunger. Many families suffer from a lack of steady income, poor food storage facilities, and limited access to essential resources. This leads to food insecurity.
Second, there's a serious lack of employment opportunities. Most jobs are limited to traditional farming, which often offers low wages and poor working conditions. As a result, many youth are forced to migrate to cities in search of better opportunities. And third, there's wasted tourism potential. Despite having beautiful landscapes and unique attraction, many of these areas remain underdeveloped and unnoticed.
Let's take a closer look at the hunger rate in Terengganu. In 2019, the rate was 6.1%. But when COVID-19 hit at the end of that year, it had a big impact on the economy. By 2020, the rate jumped to 12%. The next year, things got a bit better. The rise of online businesses helped more people earn income, and the rate dropped to 8.2%. However, in 2022, the rate increased, and the number slowly went down again in 2023 and 2024. This up and down trend shows why we need long-term solutions like eco-friendly accommodations and ecotourism activities to help communities earn a steady income and improve their lives. Our project is guided by three main objectives that align with preserving the environment while empowering local communities. Firstly, we aim to minimize environmental impact by promoting eco-conscious infrastructure. This includes using green buildings, renewable energy resources like solar power, and implementing efficient systems that reduce energy usage and greenhouse gas emissions. Secondly, we want to generate job opportunities through ecotourism. This involves creating employment for locals, not only in hospitality roles, but also in adventure-based services like jungle trekking guide or scuba instructors. Thirdly, our project supports local food producers by encouraging the use of locally sourced ingredients, from farmers, fishers, or even small businesses. This reduces dependency on important goods and strengthens the local economy.
To further inspire our vision, here are some real-life examples of eco-friendly accommodation in our state, Terengganu. First up, we have di Rasna Chalet, and then we have Casa Tanjung Jara, and then Bidara Beach Homestay. Like Casa Tanjung Jara, the resort uses natural materials like wood and bamboo in the buildings, which reduces harm to nature. Instead of strong chemicals, they use eco-friendly cleaning products and toiletries that are safe for the environment.
Before we dive into the futures of eco-accommodations, let's pause and ask ourselves a simple question. Green getaway or just getaway? Are we choosing places that care for the environment, support local communities, and leave a positive impact? Or are we just looking for comfort without considering its cost to nature and society? This question reminds us that every trip we take can either help or harm the nature around us. So, what truly makes a getaway green?
First, natural building materials. Eco-accommodation often use materials like bamboo, recycled wood, or even grass and palm leaves for their roof. These materials cause less pollution and match the natural surroundings. Second, farm-to-table food. Many ecologists grow their own fruits or vegetables or work with nearby farmers. This gives guests fresh foods and supports local farming and food supply in the area. Third, reducing food waste. Instead of throwing away leftover food, it's either turned into compost or donated to local shelters or families. This helps the environment and supports people in need. And last but not least, helping small local businesses. EcoStays also support small businesses by selling handmade crafts, snacks, or local products. This helps families earn money and gives tourists a chance to enjoy real local culture. So when we travel, let's not just look for beautiful places. Let's look for places that are beautiful in their impact. Because in the end, the choice is ours. Green getaway or just getaway.
So, we explored the futures of eco-friendly accommodations, how they protect the environment and support the community. But beyond just being green, ecotourism can be a powerful tool to fight poverty and hunger, especially when it's done through social enterprises. To understand why this matters, let's look at one of the biggest root of poverty, unemployment. Let's break it down further. How exactly does unemployment push individuals and families deeper into poverty? Firstly, when someone loses their job, they stop earning money. When they stop earning money, this makes it hard to afford basic needs like water, shelter, healthcare, education, all things need to survive. Secondly, without money, unemployed people have to rely on their families or government. This creates pressure for everyone and can make it harder for the whole family to move out of poverty. Thirdly, when parents don't work, their kids suffer. Some may leave school, not get enough food, or lose chances in life. This keeps the cycle of poverty going. The next slide shows the comparison between poverty and unemployment. What's clear from the graph is that poverty and unemployment are closely connected. In 2020, poverty rates peaked at over 12%, coinciding with high unemployment due to the pandemic. Even in the following years, both indicators remain elevated until a significant drop in 2024. This pattern reinforces one thing: when people lose their jobs, poverty rises. When jobs return, poverty decreases. This is exactly why our proposal focuses on community-led eco-friendly tourism.
So, we're left with a question. How do we unlock real economic change in these communities? To make this model work, we need to understand that eco-friendly accommodation and ecotourism activities are more than just visitors and destinations. It's a community-driven system where everyone has a role. Here are some roles in the ecotourism activities, like first, cultural activity instructor, park ranger, and also vehicle driver.
As we come to the end of our presentation, we want you to live with this thought. Poverty is not just a lack of money, it's about a lack of opportunity, of access, and of hope. We believe in a future where village doesn't have to lose its culture to survive, where nature doesn't have to be destroyed to create jobs, where youth don't have to leave home to succeed.
We didn't just share a proposal, but we share a vision. And with that, we from Sekolah Menengah Sains Dungun conclude our presentation. Thank you for your attention and we welcome any questions you may have.
I would like to invite participants to ask questions.
I have a question. Do you think Terengganu is the best place for ecotourism? If yes, why?
Mm, uh, as you all know, we are from Terengganu, and the reason we chose Terengganu is that we know the people, the culture, and the community because we live there. So, Terengganu is a beautiful country where Terengganu is a beautiful state where there are beaches and islands and lots of tourism potential. But some rural areas in Terengganu remain untapped and underdeveloped. So this is why we designed this proposal, an idea to make the idea work and help people move out of poverty.
Is there any other participants who wants to ask questions? Now I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Okay, boys and girls, Assalamualaikum. Very good afternoon. Okay. So you showed us your research objectives, which included eco-conscious infrastructure, job growth, and also local food producers. And you have also shown us 3 places which you have branded as ecotourism, eco-friendly accommodations. Okay, so I wonder if you have by any chance gotten the opportunity to check if these places that you have branded as eco-friendly accommodations manage to deliver what you attained as objectives, the infrastructure wise, the job growth wise, and the food supporting local food production wise. Okay, thank you.
From our research, we did some research on Casa Tanjung Jara, Terengganu. Before the pandemic in 2019, Casa Tanjung Jara starts to operating, and then after the pandemic, where most people lose jobs and dealing with poverty and hunger, Casa Tanjung Jara remain operating. Even though the pandemic has affected a lot of people. So from our research, we know that Casa Tanjung Jara still provide jobs and still provide jobs to other people.
Okay, last question from me. I wonder how the use of materials, like all these bamboo and so on, the good materials, the ecotourism materials, is actually help in curbs the problem of unemployment and zero and hunger, because you can see like a very like different pattern every years, and the worst part will be during the COVID-19. But how does the materials used for these accommodations, because that's your suggestions, the materials in building infrastructure is really important. How does that able to solve the problem, the main issue? Thank you.
Asmin, as we said, we use natural building materials like bamboo, recycled wood, or even like grass leaves as roofs. All those things we can get it from nature. We don't have to get it from the industry or middle people. So in that way, the cost of building these eco-friendly accommodations will be low than uses the materials from the industry. So in that way, we can reduce the cost of buildings that we used to build eco-friendly accommodation, and can reduce the hunger rate in our state, Terengganu. Come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Klik kat semua.
Now, let's hear from the last team this afternoon, Sekolah Menengah Sains Alam Shah to present. Please welcome.
starting my speech in three, two, one. Too many ecotourism projects and burn due to the fact that people are constantly chasing for quick cash, ignoring the local people who call these beautiful places. I'll be starting my speech in three, two. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum. I'll be starting my speech in three, two, one. Too many ecotourism projects crash and burn due to the fact that people are constantly chasing for quick cash, ignoring the local people who call these beautiful places their home. Instead of lifting communities up, they're often left even poorer than before. Well, what is the solution to this timeless tourist trap? Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are proud representatives from Sekolah Menengah Sains Shah. I'm Zahi, your presenter for today.
I'm Narendra Murjdi, your rapporteur. I'm Iman Naufal, your moderator.
My lovely tech assistant Kimi and my lovely teacher Miss Halija. With a given sub-theme, ecotourism is symbiotic approach towards poverty alleviation. We've given our vision a name, Filled Minds, Full Plates, where we want to merge education with local community needs via ecotourism. Now, before that, we need to mention the stakeholders in this project, which is firstly, the social enterprise in ecotourism itself, which consists of investors, NGOs, and governmental bodies. Second of all, tourists, and thirdly, local communities that are in areas that are involved with ecotourism but are still in poverty. So let's talk about the SDG that we are going to work with, which is the second SDG, Zero Hunger. To acknowledge the main goals, there are three main goals of the second SDG, which is firstly to end hunger, secondly to achieve food security, and thirdly is to increase food nutrition. Now, when we talk about ecotourism, generally people will think about these four pictures right here, which is essentially tourists going inside of local people's domains. However, there are two sides of the story, which if we look on the left side over here, it is the expectations of people, which is firstly a healthy interaction between both stakeholders, and secondly, equal distribution, which is essentially the tourist is gaining knowledge and the local people are gaining profit. However, if you look on the right side over here, ladies and gentlemen, there's two massive problems, which is firstly a lack of access to a lot of things, and secondly, educational gap, which is a problem that we want to emphasize in today's project.
Thank you, Zahi. Now let us move on to the research findings. Okay, we found something very important. I want you to take a look at the visual in front of you. It shows that 60 million children around the world don't have proper access to education. This will directly affect their future. Why? Because it limits their ability to find well-paying and stable jobs. Now, let us move on to how the lack of education affects these three aspects. The first one being economy. Limited opportunity occurs when poor education occurs. So this then affects people's skills to get well-paying jobs and even start businesses, because even big companies don't want to employ undereducated people. This then leads to reduced work productivity. Companies with a lower education background struggles to compete in the modern economies. This then leads to a persistent poverty cycle that is experienced by community. Next one being social. Let's take for example in third world countries such as Nigeria. Gender disparities happens, which means that women often get left behind in education, which directly cuts off half of a community's potential. This then leads to low civic engagement because of the fact that women don't feel empowered or informed enough to directly participate in decisions that affect them. This then leads to intergenerational poverty, which means that struggles of parents are passed down to the children and the cycle continues. For the last but not least, about land, many rural communities don't have the proper education on basic legal rights, and especially regarding land rights. This then leads to big companies to manipulate them to unfairly giving off their land rights without knowing the consequences of their actions. On for land degradation, this is caused by unsustainable farming practices, which worsen the land, which gives problems for future generations to benefit from them.
All right, thank you. Now moving on. You see this circle right here, ladies and gentlemen? I want you to split it into two parts. The right side will be focusing on the leading factors that is contributing to the lack of growth in the ecotourism sector, and on the left side, which will be the effect of lacking education and one of the factors leading to the lack of education itself. So to start off, on the right side, we have missing skills and training. What this means is that these locals lack essential skills to boost up the operation within this ecotourism sector due to factors such as inadequate or insufficient training opportunities. What this could lead to is a mismatch between what the job market actually needs versus your educational background, which can really limit your job opportunity. Second, moving on, we have no engagement in social enterprises. All right, thing is, right here, these social enterprises are facing limited funding or resources due to the fact that sometimes they are perceived as they are not perceived as a guaranteed source of profit generation. And then the result of this is that these locals would have low awareness or understanding of what even is a social enterprise is, and lack of personal incentives or interest to actually involve themselves within this sector. Now, moving on, we have the effect of lacking education, in which is poor communication skills. So these local communities, due to lacking education, they will face difficulty in expressing their ideas clearly due to them having limited vocabulary or visible language barriers, which can lead to lack of confidence in speaking and writing. And now, moving on, we have one of the factors leading to the lack of education, in which is under-resourced education. I want to give you an example. So imagine that you are a worker under an NGO, and your company actually thinks and plans that to teach a village of indigenous people. But the thing is, nobody's funding you. You don't have anything. You don't have trained teachers. You don't have port infrastructures. You don't have any infrastructures at all. If there is any, it's in poor condition. Now, I understand that some of you might be in slight confusion as to how are we going to propose this, because as stated just now, education itself is under-resourced. But that will be answered later on, because we want to emphasize what subjects that will be taught to these local communities. First off, we have tailored teacher preparation, meaning that we would train teachers within these local communities with the help of other outside NGOs in order to embed necessary skills that is needed to teach subjects such as basic accounting and budgeting, in order to help sharpen these locals' skills in terms of financial management. And next, smart climate agriculture, meaning that providing these locals with skills in order to sustain their agricultural activity in various climate seasons. And finally, nutrition education, which is to provide them knowledge with the nutritious benefits of whatever things there is around them. All right, so moving on, we've actually conducted a survey worldwide, massing over 30 respondents across several countries all around the globe, tackling questions such as problems in education and the positive effects of education itself. So to start off, we have problems in the education sector. From the Netherlands, it states that schools are facing shortages in teachers and students are getting tracked early, meaning that they are assigned to a course earlier on, and that they are limited to actually explore and find out which course that they want to pick out the most, which is in the interest. So Mr. James from the US stated that schools are facing underfunding and overcrowding in some states, which can really limit down the rates of knowledge distribution. Next, we have positive effects of education towards these local communities. First off, we have schools providing essential knowledge to these local communities. And we can tie this back to the point in the US, which is improving job opportunities because you have education. And which leads to higher income generation and overall better life quality. Passing the ball.
Now, moving on is going to be solutions. There's going to be three topics that we are going to touch upon regarding solutions, which is firstly regarding education. Now, firstly is that we want to emphasize a structured curriculum, meaning that these local communities will learn specific things in a specific time, in a specific day, so that they gain a healthy amount of knowledge. Second of all is that we want to improve the infrastructures of the local areas itself, so that these local communities can gain knowledge in a healthy environment. Secondly is service quality. Now, service quality should be incentivized because when service quality is increasing, the productivity of ecotourism itself will increase. So how do we actually better service quality? Is that we need to give the right education to these local communities. And lastly is driving innovation and local solutions. Essentially, this is just local communities and investors planning as one group and planning more innovations in the long run for more solutions. Now, let's talk about the tiebacks. Now, what we emphasize in our project today is that we want the engagement of local communities inside of social enterprise so that they can gain profit. And when they gain profit, they can get food to the table, which takes all of the three main goals of zero hunger because they end hunger. Secondly, which they end hunger. And this is all due to the fact of ecotourism helping, which ties back into, now let's talk about the angle, which firstly, we want these local community people to have minds that are equipped with knowledge. Secondly, is that we want to create jobs through ecotourism with the engagement of local people. And thirdly, is that we want to build communities that feed themselves both literally and intellectually, which ties back into our vision, Built Minds, Full Place. With that, we've never been prouder to propose. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite participants to ask questions.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So there's only one question that I would like to ask. How does the village itself is actually accessible to ecotourism?
Well, we've stated in the status quo that we, the stakeholders itself, are the local peoples that live, the local communities that live in areas that are involved with ecotourism but are still poverty. So that is how they can be connected because they already have the engagement of ecotourism in the first place.
Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. To what extent is this proposal effective? To what extent is your proposal effective?
This proposal is effective because it sustains the local communities with education so that they will be able to sustain themselves instead of relying on outsiders to sustain themselves with such as food and other things such as money. So they can sustain themselves with money to get themselves food.
Any more questions?
Now I would like to invite the judges to ask questions.
Right, good evening, boys. Right, so I get your ideas. Means in order to, this is like a long term, right? It is long term. What you call it? Alternative ways to cope. But I know that there's a lot of question regarding that. All right. My question is, you mentioned about create jobs there at the end. All right. Can you elaborate a bit about what you mentioned what do you mean about creating create jobs there at the end? Can you give examples and so on?
Okay, so just now you've mentioned about the question on examples regarding creating jobs through the ecotourism sector. Okay, so an example is that, for example, we have eco guiding, eco guides, which means that in these areas, in these ecotourism areas, there will be guides pertaining to the local geography, and these guides would help the locals in order to traverse whilst briefing them in regards to information within that area.
Hi, boys. Okay. Very futuristic. Okay. very long term. I have to agree with that. With the given time. Yeah. Okay. So my question is that you were highlighting the importance of education in terms of ending hunger problem in the world, right? I'm saying the world, not just Malaysia context, because you have been citing examples from all over the world, but not much in Malaysia. So I'd like to know if perhaps I have missed this in your presentation, but could you please enlighten us about the link, what inspires you to end the hunger issues, food security, and also stuff related to SDG2 with education in the first place? Thank you.
So basically throughout our studies, when we were studying about the sub team, when we searched for the reason why there were the sub team in the first place, we didn't get an answer, and so we had to do it the manual way, which is we had to find solutions that people have brought up throughout time. And what we did is that we listed all of the solutions and to see what was the reason that it didn't accomplish in the first place. And one of the common factors that we found was education. Education was the reason in every single one of those solutions why it didn't work. And so because of that, we tried to make education our solution in ecotourism so that they can get jobs and they can bring food to the table. And when they bring food to the table, they can achieve zero hunger.
Thank you to Sekolah Menengah Sains Alam Shah for their presentation. Now that our day has come to an end, thank you to all judges for your time. Thank you for all our presenters for the impactful presentation. And thank you to all the audiences for your attention.